The Red Skull and MODOK hack Stark's computer system. The villains need a combat simulation program that Stark developed. The program saves all the data about the battles and prepares a strategy for a new battle. The Skull watches videos with the Avengers' victories. He sets new parameters to the program. The program reports that a vulnerability has been discovered in the Avengers' defense. The program predicts the complete success of the villains. MODOK, Dracula, and Attuma are sitting at the table. Attuma takes food with his hands. MODOK and Dracula call him a savage. Attuma immediately rushes into the fight. The Skull enters the room and sees the fighting allies. He orders the program to give him the best course of action. With one shot, the Skull calms the brawlers and sits down at the table. Dracula asks to explain such agility. The Skull shows Stark's hacked program, which is now sewn into his armor. He says that with this program, they will be able to defeat the Avengers. A clique of villains arrives in Washington by submarine. The villains demand the residents of the city to surrender or they will be destroyed. Dracula threatens the Skull, but he ignores the threats. Attuma and the Atlanteans attack the White House. An adaptoid controlled by MODOK shoots down planes. Thor and Hulk land on the lawn in front of the White House. Skulls are attacked by Captain America. The captain falls and drops the shield, but the Skulls are knocked to the ground by Iron Man. The Hulk beats up Attuma. The Falcon knocks down the adaptoid and he falls into the sea. The Widow says that the clique is fighting too smoothly this time. The Skull tries to summon the villains, but no one answers him. Then he starts the process of self-destruction of the submarine. The Avengers leave the ship. The Skull is thrown ashore by an explosion. He tries to contact the members of the clique again, but does not receive an answer. The Avengers take the Red Skull prisoner. The villain is brought to the main ship of the Shield and imprisoned in a force field. Stark says that the Skull most likely set traps and it's not easy to remove the armor from him. The Hulk decides to try and gets an electric shock. The Avengers calm the Hulk. The Captain and the Widow feel a trick. Stark and the Falcon go to the destroyed Skull submarine. The rest of the Avengers must find other villains. Captain America remains with the Skull. The Captain says that the Skull's allies have fled. In response, the Skull notices that it is the Captain alone now. Dracula appears in the cell and attacks the Captain. The vampire frees the Skulls, and the two of them knock the Captain out. Stark and the Falcon discover Stark's hacked program on the submarine. At this time, a clique of villains captures the Tricarrier's bridge. MODOK hacks the ship's systems. Tony orders the Avengers to urgently return to the main Shield ship. Attuma grabs Fury, but Nick releases a smokescreen and escapes. The villains start quarreling again. The program informs the Skull that their chances of success are falling rapidly. The Avengers arrive on the Tricarrier. They destroy machine guns and cannons and the ship's defense system. On the bridge, the Skull destroys equipment. He orders the villains to attack the Avengers. Attuma fights with the Hulk. Dracula attacks Thor. The Tricarrier splits into 3 parts. Attuma and the Hulk fall into the sea. Dracula and Thor fight in the air. The Widow, Hawkeye, and Falcon break into the bridge. The Skull leaves, leaving MODOK to fight with the heroes. Stark finds Skulls in the corridor and attacks him, but the villain manages to deceive Tony and stab him in the back. Stark discovers the bound Captain. On the bridge, the Widow and the others knock the adaptoid to the floor and hold it at gunpoint. MODOK informs the Skull that all the pawns are in place and he commands to release the Captain. The platform with Steve tied falls from the Triker. Tony rushes to save his friend. He calls the Avengers. The Skull gathers a clique. Tony tries to stop the falling platform. Thor and Dracula return to Earth. Hulk and Thor pick up the falling platform and rescue the Captain. The Captain says that the Skull didn't need a Tricarrier, but someone who was kept locked up there. The Red Skull frees Hyperion and invites him to join the ranks of a clique of villains. Tony Stark, the Falcon, and Captain America are in the training room. Stark developed jet boots for the Captain. The Captain does not like technical innovations, preferring to rely on his own strength, but still puts on a new gadget. Boots and cap fly around the hall. Tony takes it all off on his phone. As a result, the Captain manages to get rid of the shoes and they knock Stark and the Falcon down. The Captain tells Tony that he would not have lasted a day without equipment. Stark and the captain make a bet that if Tony does not last a day without equipment, he will train with the captain for a week, and if Stark wins, the captain will have to test new inventions. Sokol asks Tony to help with the calculations, but you can't use the computer. Sam gives a friend a notebook and pencil. When Stark wants to read the news on the tablet, the captain appears and throws the newspaper to Stark. You can't even take the elevator now. After half an hour, Tony gives up and asks the captain to return his phone. Stark says that he is not the only one, it depends on the equipment. The captain offers to conduct a training session. Stark says that he knows one place where there is no equipment and internet. Tony asks Thor and Hulk to stay in the tower. He asks them not to touch anything. Stark, Falcon, Barton, and the captain arrive on a desert island around which pterodactyls circle. Stark says that he programmed Jarvis to keep them out of their comfort zone for exactly a day. He adds that he chose a place where there are no dinosaurs. The captain is delighted. He calls his friends to the jungle to set up camp. The Hulk in the tower is going to cook popcorn. Thor uses his lightning bolts for cooking and blows up half of the kitchen. The Avengers are setting up camp. The captain is lighting a fire while Falcon and Stark are building a canopy. Barton is lying in a hammock. He is hungry. Falcon is sharing homemade cookies with friends. A herd of triceratops appears and rushes at the heroes. One of the dinosaurs eats cookies. Stark orders Jarvis to send him the Iron Man armor, but Jarvis replies that there is still a ban on equipment. No Tony commands are valid. The Avengers stumble upon T-Rex in the forest. In the tower, Hulk and Thor have emptied the refrigerator. Jarvis reports that there is a box of chocolates left in Stark's closet. Thor rushes there. Hulk overtakes him, breaking through the walls. T-Rex will attack the Avengers, but the captain jumps on his head and closes his eyes. The dinosaur crashes into a tree and hides in the forest. The captain jumps to the ground. Tony says that the predator did not attack them. He was fleeing from something. The heroes go to check what scared the dinosaurs. They discover Justin's drilling machine Hammer, who is drilling a mountain of vibranium. Hammer's drone appears and he talks to the heroes. He says that the extracted vibranium will provide him with a place in the clique of the villains of the Red Skull. The Avengers are surrounded by raptors controlled by Hammer. The captain wraps Stark with a vine and pushes him off a cliff. Tony lands at the bottom of the gorge and meets a strange creature consisting of stones. Hammer contacts the Skull and reports that he has caught the Avengers. The Skull doubts that Hammer will be able to keep the heroes at least until morning. The stone creature brings Stark to his city. The creature says his name is Grok. Stark asks the stone people to help him defeat the villains, but Grok says they are not warriors. Then Tony asks them to help build something for him. Grok agrees. Hammer sets raptors on the captain, Falcon, and Barton, but then Stark appears in stone armor. He deals with dinosaurs and frees friends. Stark thanks the stone people. Grok orders his countrymen to destroy Hammer's cars. Red Skull contacts Hammer. He is disappointed with Hammer's failure. Enraged, Justin shoots at the captain, but Stark obscures a friend with his body. Tony knocks Hammer out. In the morning, Grok and the stone people thank the Avengers and present them with a huge toad as a gift. Tony and the others return to the tower and see that Thor and the Hulk have made a complete mess. An irritated Hawkeye walks along the Avengers Tower. He stops at the door to the Hulk's room and suddenly hears a woman screech from there. Clint kicks the door open and sees the Hulk sitting on the floor. The Hulk is watching an old horror movie on TV. Hawkeye throws an empty jar of pickled cucumbers at the Hulk. He is angry at the Hulk for eating everything. The Hulk catches the jar and asks how Barton found out that it was the Hulk who ate the cucumbers. Clint replies that only the green one could destroy the kitchen like that. The Hulk confirms that he ate everything and pushes the archer away so as not to interfere with watching the movie. Clint takes his favorite glass unicorn Hulk figurine from the shelf. The Hulk grabs Barton and turns him over. An explosive arrow falls out of Barton's quiver. The Hulk puts the figure in place and throws Clint away. The arrow explodes and the Hulk does not have time to catch the falling arrow. A figurine, a unicorn, is broken into small pieces. Hawkeye rushes down the corridor of the tower, being chased by an angry Hulk. Hulk and Barton come running into the living room. where their skirmish is stopped by Captain America and Iron Man. They ask friends to reconcile, but they refuse. From the roof of a neighboring building, two aliens are watching the quarrel. They contact their host, the alien Mojo, who demands to deliver the Hulk to him as soon as possible. The Hulk grabs Barton, and they fall out of the tower window together. Tony flies next to them and tries to reconcile again. At this moment, the aliens use a teleporting beam to transfer the Hulk and Barton to the Mojo ship. The Hulk and Hawkeye find themselves in a cell. Mojo announces the beginning of his show of the Mojapocalypse on big screens. Barton and the Hulk are pushed into the gladiatorial arena. An alien insect attacks the archer. Barton shoots the monster with a bow, but the monster does not take arrows. The Hulk just stands with folded arms. Mojo announces that the current champion of the show, Torgo, will also participate in the fight today. Clint asks the Hulk to help him. The Hulk deals with the monster with one blow. Torgo appears behind the Hulk. He beats the Hulk and he breaks through the walls and flies into outer space. The crowd chants the name of the champion. Hawkeye is left alone with Torgo. The champion chases Barton around the arena. Mojo doesn't like it and he orders the Hulk to be teleported back to the arena. Hawkeye falls and Torgo raises his fists over him, but the returning Hulk attacks the champion and throws him into the wall. Torgo loses the fight and Mojo declares him the new champion. Torgo returns for revenge and beats the Hulk. He loses consciousness. The Hulk wakes up in the cell. Torgo is sitting in the next cell. He says that Mojo forces him to fight in the arena, otherwise he will destroy Torgo's home planet. Mojo adjusts the results of the fights and is fueled by the energy from the broadcast. Mojo announces the start of a new fight. Hawkeye must fight with Torgo and other fighters again. The Hulk is going to destroy, but Clint says that the enemy is not Torgo and the other prisoners. The fight against everyone begins. The last survivor wins. The Hulk fights with Torgo, while Clint fights with the rest of the fighters. Torgo uses a missile strike and drives the Hulk falls into the ground of the arena. The energy overflows Mojo. The Hulk rises and hits Torgo. He flies into a huge screen and falls into the arena. Clint ties Torgo. He asks to stop Mojo. The owner of the arena demands that the Hulk and Clint fight each other. Friends refuse and Mojo's servants teleport them back to Earth. Now Mojo's ship is attacking Earth. The Avengers are fighting the aliens. Hulk and Barton are jumping on the Avengers Tower. He is going to throw Hawkeye on Mojo's ship. Before throwing, the Hulk apologizes to a friend. Clint apologizes for the broken unicorn figurine. Hulk and Hawkeye break into Mojo's studio. He calls Torgo and orders to deal with the violators. Torgo grabs Mojo's chair and is about to break it. The villain activates the collar on Torgo's neck and electrocutes him. Mojo shoots electricity at the Hulk. Barton drops the screen on Mojo and orders him to sit quietly. Mojo throws Barton out of the window, but Clint is caught by the Hulk. Mojo descends into the arena on his chair, but the archer notices the control panel in the bottom of the chair. He shoots at a vulnerable spot and the Hulk sends Mojo into a huge screen with a punch. Mojo teleports from the scene of the fight. The Avengers free the fighters and they go home. In the evening, Barton goes into his room and finds a bunch of boxes of cucumbers, but they are all empty. Clint finds a note from the Hulk, who apologizes for eating everything again. Dear friends, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe to the channel. This is important to me.